Thank you all for joining us for the Food Products and Processing Systems Career Connectors panel. We can start with introductions. I'll start. I'm Emily Sandrom. I'm currently serving as the Minnesota FFA State Vice President, originally from the Mountain Lake FFA chapter, and studying at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, majoring in agricultural education.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna Early, and I'm currently serving as the Minnesota FFA State Reporter. I'm coming to you live from my hometown, Litchfield, but I'm currently studying at Ridgewater College in Willmar, Minnesota, majoring in agribusiness with a dairy emphasis. So as Emily said, please introduce yourself, your job title, your company, and a little bit about what you do there. So I'll let you guys go around the circle and do that.
Sure. Well, really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys today. My name is Aaron Osmus. I am the Director of Laboratory Services and Refrigerated Foods Product Development for Hormel Foods here in Austin, Minnesota. I've worked for Hormel Foods for 19 years, going on 19 years, 6 of which was at Jennie-O Turkey Store, doing product development, applied research for Jennie-O Turkey Store. And then I was able to transfer here in 2009 and has been at Hormel Foods Research and Development ever since. So a little bit about what I do. We have a fully functioning laboratory here in Austin, chemistry, microbiology, food safety research. And then we also do work in sensory shelf life and then process authorities. So I spend a lot of time doing a lot of food safety work, food chemistry work, but then I also manage the refrigerated foods product development. So any new product development or process improvement that goes on for basically any Hormel product that is either in a grocery store or goes to restaurants or delis, basically falls into that refrigerated foods group. So.
Okay, and I'll go next. Again, hello to everyone. I'm also excited to be here. My name is Brent Bramer, and I also work for Hormel Foods. I have been with Hormel 31 years, and in all 31 years, I've been involved in quality assurance or quality control, so food safety. So making sure that the products that we make are safe for our customers. And I am coming to you from Hormel's corporate office location, town, Austin, Minnesota. And my current position is I'm the corporate manager of regulatory compliance and food safety. So, and I work with all of our incoming ingredient suppliers to make sure that all 7,000 ingredients that we are using enterprise-wide are safe for us to use. And I think I'll just leave it at that for now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Schmidt, Vice President of Public Affairs for AMPI. That's Associated Milk Producers Incorporated. We're a dairy farmer-owned co-op based in New Ulm, Minnesota. We have about 1,400 dairy farmer member owners who reside throughout the upper Midwest. We are in charge of taking the milk from their farms and making it into great tasting cheese, butter, and powdered dairy products. In fact, we make about 10% of the nation's American type cheese. So that's your cheddars, Colby Jacks, Monterey Jacks, Pepper Jack, and about 10% of the nation's butter. In my role in public affairs, that is a multi-pronged responsibility title. It includes communications, both internal with our employees and our member owners, and external with customers and even suppliers like Hormel that we work with for ingredients. I'm also involved, I help our sales and marketing team when they have questions about how dairy cows are cared for on the farm. I get to visit with them about that and our stewardship and sustainability efforts, both on the farm and in our processing plants. Looking forward to the conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you guys for introducing yourselves. I love hearing how you guys all kind of have diverse careers compared to each other. So our first question for you is, what led you to your career?
Well, for me, I grew up definitely with a farming background in West Central Iowa, and I went to Iowa State with a degree in animal science, and as I was there, I wanted to stay tied to the animal agriculture industry. And it was about the second semester of my sophomore year, I took a foods of animal origin class. And that actually kind of opened my eyes. Instead of maybe having as big of a focus on the live side, actually taking a look at the food side of the animal agriculture industry. And the more I got into it, the more I found that, you know, sort of my love for agriculture, and also, you know, sort of my interest in things like chemistry and biochemistry and microbiology, I kind of found a home where all of that kind of came together. And it resided, oddly enough, in a degree, in a master's degree in meat science. So, you know, so that's kind of, you know, so it like I said, it really became more about, you know, it was a place where I found where all my interests, you know, in a lot of different things all kind of came together. So every day I get to use all of those things and all of those skills to be able to make a lot of different decisions throughout a day. So.
Okay, I'm going to go next, and for the goodness of people who are not in FFA or don't have an ag background. I don't have an ag background. I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't graduate in food science, which is great things to have. But I'm one of the people that will tell you that you don't have to have those backgrounds to come to a company and find a home, because I went to college. I had mathematics and English were my majors. And so back then, 31 years ago, when companies like Hormel were looking for people, mathematics, quality control does a lot of testing in the plants. And so we would be able to run tests and do data analysis on those. But through my career, I've been able to learn a lot more microbiology, thank goodness, with the help of Aaron Osmus. I mean, it's great to have resources like that to use, but again, I didn't have to have the food science background or even the ag background to be able to find a home with a great company like Hormel. And it's been a great 31 years, and my schooling, and I think we've got some future questions that talk about that, is still a good fit. So again, I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think all three of us would agree. What we found out this past year is food is really essential. And so when it comes to looking and considering careers in agriculture and food, I'm going to be a strong proponent that you consider the food systems pathway. I did grow up on a dairy farm. I had found my love for dairy cows at a very young age. I was active in 4-H and FFA and the Minnesota Junior Holstein Association. So when it came time to pursue a college major, I did go with animal science, a dairy industry emphasis. During that time, I thought at one point I'd really find interest in being a bovine geneticist. That's when the bovine genomes had first been mapped, and I really saw a lot of potential for, you know, improving the dairy cattle herd here in the US using genetic information. And I still find it interesting, but I had the opportunity to serve as the state's Princess K of the Milky Way. And that really showed me a whole different side of agriculture, and that was consumer connection. And so for the whole year, I got to represent Minnesota's dairy farmers and talk about the importance of dairy products in a healthy, balanced diet. And that shift, like Aaron experienced, from a love of animals to a love of food, and then communicating that love of food with others, that happened for me in my college years. And so I had this great experience at the U of M. It set me up for several different internship opportunities, but now I've been at AMPI for 10 years, and it's been a very good fit.
Wow, from a past Princess K to an English and mathematics major, and then to someone who's completed a master's program. Wow, we've got so many different things going for us on this call today, and I'm really excited for everybody in the classroom to get to learn about this. So our next question is, what does a typical day look like for you?
So So for me, I don't, I'd love to be able to say I have typical days, but I don't. I will, there are, aside from the fact that I get to work at about 6 o'clock every day and I get to leave, sometime between 4:35, that's really about as typical as what my day gets. With such a broad group that I have to, that I work with, and also not only just here at Hormel, but also with our subsidiaries. So having to answer a lot of questions and being able to provide guidance, for not only Hormel Foods, but also for Jennie-O Turkey Store, our Megamex operation, that makes holy guacamole. That's something that I have to be able to know about. Skippy peanut butter is something that that we have to know about. And then we just announced it. We purchased the Planters brand. So peanuts and a number of the different snacking opportunities that goes along with that. So food safety and laboratory analysis and that kind of work for Hormel Foods is much broader than just spam and bacon. And at any given moment or any given time throughout a day or night, we can run into potential issues in any of those operations. And so like I said, I can have a plan at 6 in the morning when I get here, and by 7 o'clock that plan is completely thrown out the window. So it's nice. Like I said, no day is certainly ever boring. It's certainly and also in doing this work, it's also very rewarding. So there are times when it feels really hectic, but at the same time you're doing work for the greater good, and making sure that people stay safe and people are eating quality food every day. So I can live with the hectic nature of the job if that's the outcome that comes from it. So.
For me, a typical day has changed over my career, okay? Because I started back working in a plant, and so it would be working in a food manufacturing environment. We were making, our plant still makes canned chili, it makes chichi salsa, and worked in all of the Jennie-O plants. And so go from the work of in a life in a plant to the corporate side, which is a little bit more, I work with a lot of the regulations. So, I mean, work with both the USDA on the meat side of the world, FSIS, and the FDA with the non-meat side of the world. And so for years, I was in charge of something called HACCP. If you ever get into food production, it's going to be something that's required for a food safety aspect. And so I would go to one of all of our plants every year and conduct food safety audits of those plants. But like I said, I don't go to our plants anymore because I'm now in charge of our incoming ingredients. So instead of working directly with our plants, I work with all 1,600 of our ingredient suppliers that we have. And so it's in today's world, we have to decide, okay, which ingredients are going to be high risk to us? Which ones do we have to be worried about more often, more than other ingredients? And then we have to decide, okay, with those high risk ingredients, what are we going to do about it? Because I'd like to say that we're going to audit all of our suppliers, but we're not able to do that with having so many. And so we have to come up with a risk ranking of which ones we want to audit. And then we will set up audits with those suppliers. We'll set up what we call COA requirements, certificate of analysis, to where on a lot of the ingredients that come into us, we have to dictate what tests we want run on those ingredients before we will allow them to be used in our facilities. And then again, when we audit the suppliers, we have to decide, okay, what are we going to do with them based on the results of that audit? And over our years, I mean, we've had to disqualify a lot of suppliers, and I'm saying over 50 suppliers over time. We've had to disqualify them. And so it's working with those suppliers and finding out, okay, do you want to supply us? And if so, these are the things you need to address. And if you don't want to address those, well, I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut ties and we will find someone else that will. And so that's today that my day-to-day thing is working, making sure all the ingredients that we're using are safe.
So I'll piggyback off of that and say that while I'm not on the food safety team, the food safety team can call upon me to help them with documentation that they are being requested from our customers. How do we prove that our animals are being well cared for on their farms, that the milk is of good quality, that the product is of good quality? So in my role, while my degree is animal science, I like to say my science mind and my interest in how things work and how food is made is a good baseline of education for everybody to have, just that base level of understanding. And then where my expertise comes in is how do we best communicate that with other people depending upon the group. So my typical day really depends on who needs help. But really, I can be working on our member magazine 1 minute. I can be on the phone with Senator Amy Klobuchar the next minute talking about Farm Workforce Modernization Act or activities happening at USDA. I can then get off the phone and start talking to one of our dairy farmer owners about our upcoming board meeting, visiting with customers. And then the co-op also launched a new brand of dairy products called Dinner Bell Creamery just about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And that was really the co-op's member owners saying, hey, we know we make a really good product in cheese and butter, and we're happy to supply that to other customers. But we also recognize consumers are very interested in the story behind their food is produced. Let's come out there with our own brand. And so that's what we've achieved with Dinner Bell Creamery Butter. And it's been fun for me to learn about the social media marketing side of communications. And so I manage the co-op's Facebook and Instagram pages for Dinner Bell Creamery. A typical day is 8 to 5, but I'm also the co-op's crisis communicator. So in the event of a plant fire or an employee injury or a potential product issue, they call upon me to join the crisis response team, and I lead communications for the team.
Yeah, it was great to hear that there's nothing really typical about every day and that you need so many different skills to really tackle each day. So how did your college education or degree program prepare you for what you do on a daily basis?
So I'm actually going to start in high school, and when I was growing up, because I kind of look at the skills that I've gained along the way, a little bit, sort of in two phases. When I went to college, I learned, obviously learned a lot about science and a lot of those things while I was in school, and those are obviously things that I need to have be a part of what I do every day. But I will also say that while I was in high school and when I was in FFA, I had the opportunity to learn about things that occur on a farm that have carried with me. I use those skills almost every day. The skills that I learned being able to talk every day with farmers about various things and just being able to just communicate with people. I learned, like I said, I learned that going to the co-op and talking to farmers as I was growing up. It's so much of, being able to participate in the Ag Commodity Challenge when I was in high school was something where, I never would have guessed that something like that would have taught me what I needed to know about understanding the peanut markets. Now, with having a completely, getting out of corn and soybeans, and now all of a sudden, okay, now you got to understand a different commodity. Well, you fall back on some of those same guiding principles that you were exposed to in high school and in FFA. So livestock judging, I did livestock judging while I was in high school and when I was at Iowa State. So, so all of those things teach so many different, just skills about being able to work with and communicate with people. And then the science are things that you learn, obviously that you learn in class. But on a daily basis, I have to use just as much science as I do communication skills every day. So like I said, find every opportunity to be able to get those skills. So.
And I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Aaron said, but again, I think this is a good mix because both Aaron and Sarah bring more of an egg background, and I'm one that says you don't have to have that. And my point in saying that is that don't ignore your other classes too, because mathematics has helped me. I mean, I love dealing with problems and issues and trying to come at something from a logical standpoint. But then also English, okay? I mean, I minored in English, and so don't blow off your English assignments. It's amazing, and Sarah will be able to attribute to this, and even Aaron, because we have to write a lot of things. I mean, we work with our customers, we work with the regulatory agencies, and so to be able to write a coherent sentence, a sentence that's going to look a lot different typed than you would text somebody. Okay, I mean, that's a total different. We don't talk that way to the government or to our customers or to our suppliers. And so don't ignore your other courses too. I mean, they will all come into play.
Oh, absolutely. And you said that, Brent, and I thought of how important a first impression is, both an in-person first impression, but a written first impression. I will judge a piece of communication very quickly if you have errors in punctuation and spelling. I mean, it is a gate cut for me. But no, seriously, as far as college education, I think number one is the people. At the University of Minnesota, I was able to create this instant network of professionals in the dairy industry that I still tap. And so those are really important connections as you're considering your career path. I don't think I will ever remember the exact content of a major final exam, but I know who I can go to help me answer those questions 20 years later, right? So it's that critical thinking ability, that hunger to understand and investigate and track down the answers. Absolutely learn that in college. And in that way, also with dairy judging, that is a perfect experience for critical thinking and quick communication skills. I judged a lot of cows during my time at college, and I don't regret 1 minute of it. And saying nothing for the relationships that go along with it. Just a fantastic team that I'm still in contact with today. And they are professionals in a variety of different fields. One is a nurse anesthetist at Rochester Mayo. Another is a stay-at-home mom who's homeschooling her children. And then another is working in the dairy cattle genetics industry. And we're still sharing information, sharing life with one another. So those relationships are so important.
Wow, those are great answers that I'm honestly really excited to go through this and watch it again just so I could take some notes and really hit hard on the points you guys are saying. But we'll move into our last question, which is what pieces of advice can you give to our high school students watching today that you found the most valuable to help you start your career? Whether this be organizations or connections or networking from peers with college, or even what skills you guys are looking for when you guys are hiring within your company. Just to overall end on a note of advice, I think is what we're looking for.
So one of the things I guess that, and again, I fall back to a lot of the experiences that I learned on the farm that I found that have just completely applied to me throughout my career. You know, I mean, and as I kind of was preparing for this, I kept thinking back. I was like, you know, nothing, you know, if you've ever farmed, you know that not every day goes right. And there's a lot of things that are outside of your control that you have to deal with. You know, you can't really, you know, command it to rain. You know, and when you have to do with herd health and different things like that. I mean, there are some things that are just out of your control that you have to, but you got to react to them and you have to deal with it. I think that some of that mindset and having those skills and just having that acceptance of that and having some experience in dealing with that are tremendous life lessons for whatever career path that you may decide to go down. And they apply everywhere, not just you know, while you're in school or on the farm, but as you're going through school, you know, if you have a hard class or different things like that, that, you know, you have to find a way to work through. Or if you have have a class that maybe you don't like as much, you know, I'm working through this with my own son and having to get him through English, right? Because, because it's not his thing. He doesn't, but he's got to find a way to be able to work through it. Having those all of those skills and having that grit and resilience it pays off so much when you get out of school and you get into the real world, and you're either looking for a job or looking for a career. So those are, so find the opportunities for that. It may come in work, it may come in school, it may come through athletics, it may come through FFA, or it may come through, but it can come in a lot of different places that maybe aren't exactly obvious, but seek them out, because those will certainly pay off later on. The more situations you put yourself in like that, it just makes you a stronger individual. So.
Okay, I guess the biggest thing that I'm going to add is when you're going through school, if you know exactly what you want to do, okay, that's great. But if you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life or your career, don't have to worry about it right now. But the thing is, be open for different options, okay? Because when I went through high school and college, I knew I loved math, I knew I liked English, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. And so when I was able to interview with the company, it said, well, this is what you would be doing. This is what you would be working on. All right, that sounded kind of cool. And it was nothing that I had planned on, but be open to different options. And even within the company, to go from working in a plant to working in an office to now working with suppliers, I'm open to trying different things. And so that's the other thing now, is that you're going through high school and college eventually. You may not have your world planned out for you, but don't worry about it as much, but B, have your eyes open and find out what clicks with you and what you want to do. I mean, I guess the three of us would all say the food industry has been phenomenal for us, and it's been our life, it's been our livelihood, and so don't be scared. It'll be okay.
Kind of along those same lines, if you're going to be open, be hungry. From any experience that you have in front of you, soak it in like a sponge. Maybe it isn't what you end up doing when you're 40, but I guarantee something you learned through an experience in your 20s is going to help set you up for success down the road. Some other things I want to encourage everybody, be coachable. So have the mindset that you're always ready to learn, ready to gain knowledge from somebody else, whether that's a mentor, a coworker, a friend down the street. Be a coachable person who's always recognizing that I can get a little bit better, I can get a little bit smarter. The other thing would be to work hard and work smart. Those kinds of basic advice, that's good stuff. Things that we learn on the farm, things that we learn in college. Just work hard, be smart, be coachable, and always be kind.
Those are all such great pieces of advice. So I just want to thank you all for joining us today and talking about your careers and the path you took to be here. You guys all have such different careers, and it shows that the food products and processing system pathway is such a diverse pathway, and there's so many different careers within this pathway. So again, thank you all for being here.